Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start this edition with pictures of the rover on the moon. It's actually roving, ladies and gentlemen. ISRO has put out the pictures of the Pragyan rover coming out of the Vikram lander, and has also confirmed, they have confirmed that the rover has successfully traversed a distance of about 8 meters. Rover payloads, LIBS and APX are turned on, and all payloads on the propulsion module, lander module and rover are performing nominally. So great news as we see these pictures and also the video of the rover coming down slowly and then landing or walking on the roving on the moon surface, if you can say that. So fantastic achievement by our scientists, and it continues on for 14 Earth days, which is equal to 1 lunar day. So 2.5 days so far, and there should be many more pictures coming through. Meanwhile, there's a big revelation that's come in from Union Minister Piyush Goyal based on the Chandrayaan landing, the soft landing on the moon in just the second attempt by ISRO and by India. There are nations which are now queuing up to engage with India on space technology and trade in terms of in the space sector. 3 nations already, 2 nations from the southeast of Asia and 1 nation from the Middle East have shown keen interest, with one of them saying, put it on the agenda when we meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and our Prime Minister meets Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the G20 summit itself. They want it time bound. That's the word that we are getting. So look at what that soft landing has done for Bharat amidst the G20 nations itself, the 36 nations. There are others too who are shown keen inclination to partner with India. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi from the Brics summit was en route, and he's gone to Greece, where he's met with the President and the Prime Minister of Greece, and he's also been conferred the top honor in Greece, the honor of the Grand Cross of the Order, honor conferred by the Greek President earlier in the day. What a proud moment for Bharat, and of course one of the many awards that nations are conferring upon our Prime Minister. So these are the important aspects, that highlights that we'd like to share with you right at the top of this edition of The Right Stand, as we now turn the spotlight to that standoff which the Prime Minister openly spoke about and told the CCP-led China that they need to back off. Disengagement is important. Going back to the status quo of April 2020 is something that India will not compromise upon.
लद्दाख एक स्ट्रेटेजिक जगह है, ये सरासर झूठ है। लद्दाख का हर व्यक्ति इस बात को जानता है कि लद्दाख की जमीन चाइना ने हिंदुस्तान से ली है, और प्रधानमंत्री जी सच नहीं बोले।
हम चीनी राष्ट्रपति के पीछे पीछे भाग रहे हैं कि हमें बात कर लो, हमसे बात कर लो, मामला सुलझा लो, और वे सुलझा नहीं रहे हैं। तो नुकसान हमारा है, क्योंकि इस वक्त चीन हमारी जमीन पे बैठा हुआ है। चीन से 2 टूक बात करनी चाहिए, वरना G20 के अंदर चीन के आगे रेड कारपेट हमें नहीं बिछाना चाहिए।
आखिर क्यों प्रधानमंत्री चाइनीज प्रेसिडेंट के पीछे भाग रहे हैं बातचीत के लिए? आखिर क्यों देश के प्रधानमंत्री देश को अंधेरे में रख रहे हैं कि लद्दाख बॉर्डर पर क्या हो रहा है? नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार हमारी बहादुर फौज पर ये प्रेशर डाल रही है कि कोई सोल्यूशन को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया जाए।
राहुल गांधी जी को बार बार चीन की बातों पर इतना प्यार क्यों उमड़ आता है? ये राजीव गांधी फाउंडेशन को मिले हुए दान का एहसान है, या चीन की कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी के साथ हुए करार का इकरार है कि बार बार वो भारत सरकार से तकरार करने को तैयार है?
Question, ladies and gentlemen, was it Prime Minister Narendra Modi said not a blade of grass grows there when Aksai Chin was given away? So there is a history to this. There are voices who are talking about land grabbed by China. Were those voices mute all this while? Did they look the other way? When territory that belonged to India, sovereign territory, was ceded by our nation at different times in the 75 years of our independence. So these questions remain even as there is politics over the versions that emerged after the conversation between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the Brics summit. While India's statement said that they have made it clear to China that they must respect the line of actual control, China conveniently omitted the de-escalation bit in its statement, but it did not deny India's statement at all. So this is important. Have a look at this. Candid talks, in-depth exchange held is what China said. They didn't say much, but India said PM Modi raised the concerns about the border. So Foreign Secretary Kawatra made this statement very clearly in the briefing that the LAC issue was raised. Improved relations serves common interest. PM raised unresolved issues among the LAC. So very clearly India is saying we are going to continue to raise this. Observing, respecting LAC is essential, says India, should handle the border issue properly. So there is a mention of the border issue, which is indicative of the Chinese intent also to de-escalate, and we'll come to that in just a bit. Meanwhile, China said jointly safeguard peace, tranquility in the border region, no mention of de-escalation at the line of actual control. India's statement, no normal ties until the border situation is resolved. Interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, both sides are saying border and not the line of actual control. So this is something which a lot of people have also picked, because our LAC is largely with Tibet, which is occupied territory by China. That's what our stated position has been. China, what numbers say is the 4,056 kilometer long LAC, China has gradually reduced that narrative over the last 7.5 decades to a 2,000 kilometer long border. So 2,056 kilometers of the LAC, China now claims as its own. Now, how is that possible? Is that something which has happened in the last 9 years? Or is that happening? Has that been happening since 1949, ever since the Communist Party came to power in China and the PLA took over and Mao Zedong laid out the footprint or the blueprint for the CCP over the next 100 years? So where do things stand as of now when it comes to the LAC standoff? Let's try and get a quick check of that. Pangong So, disengagement complete. Galwan, disengagement complete. Gogra, disengagement has already begun. Hot Springs, disengagement has begun. Depsang, still no headway. Demchok, still no headway. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, if you pick up the map and you will see why Depsang and Demchok are so important for the PLA and the CCP. It's because they have invested heavily in OBOR, their Belt and Road initiative, and they want to secure these lands. And this was all part of the five-finger strategy and carving out, which has been laid down by Mao Zedong way back in 1949. Go back and see successive premiers have worked on this agenda, except for about 15 to 20 years when China was focusing on becoming economically strong. And then they came back to this, and President Xi Jinping is keen to walk on the same line as Mao Zedong. Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping's informal meet has also sparked a face-off back home. Rahul Gandhi's charge. Under NDA, 1,200 kilometers of land has been ceded to China. That's the big charge that the Congress has maintained. They have maintained over the last 3 to 4 years. And BJP's counter, Congress surrendered 43,000 kilometers of land to China. Rahul Gandhi's charge is center giving false statement on the China issue. 600 Chinese incursions between 2010 to 2013 is the BJP's counter. PM's claim not an inch of land lost is false. China intruded land till 2012 during the Congress era. Ladakhis know that China has taken our land. Rahul speaking like China's propaganda machinery. NDA won't admit China is preparing for war, not Nehru's India of 1962, it's Modi's Naya Bharat. That's the counter that's come forth from the BJP. But is there land that's been ceded? And what's been ceded, has it been taken back? What's the history to it? What Defence Minister A.K. Antony said in the Lok Sabha on the 6th of September 2013. Let's jog our memories. China's infrastructure development is superior to India. This is our former Defence Minister. The policy followed. The best defense is to not develop the border. Undeveloped borders are safer than developed borders because What if the PLA walks in and sadak bani hui hai to aage andar aa gaye? Look at the defeatist mentality, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. The nation's defense minister, this is what he had to say. For many years, no roads or airfields built in border areas. China continued to develop infrastructure in border areas, and we continue to watch over 6.5 decades. Infra and capability wise in border areas, China is way ahead. Why did we allow them to get way ahead? In the last 20 to 25 years, governments realized mistake and they've changed policy. But how much of it was actually done in the last 9 years? That's the big question. Let's compare the infrastructure development on the border areas. Under the NDA and the UPA rule, let's try and quickly get you the numbers. Have a look at this. We're firing it out right there on the wall right behind me on the right stand. And you decide who's taken the right stand for Bharat. Under UPA, troop deployment was mostly seasonal. Under NDA, troop deployment is now permanent. Again, policy for decades not to develop major infrastructure push in the border areas that has already happened. For decades, no roads were built. String of roads and connectivity projects that are currently underway already. For decades, no airfields were constructed. Now, new fighting air bases and helipads have been built near the LAC, roads, bridges, lots of infrastructure, advanced airborne platforms, drones, fighter jets. Under the NDA, under the UP, advanced weapon developments that began very, very late. So all these aspects come to the fore. Did the UPA almost surrender Siachen too? That's another question. Let's look back at history and look at the data. Here is what 3 damning admissions that they point out to. WikiLeaks cable cited, then US ambassador claiming UPA had decided to give away Siachen despite army's reservations. Shyam Saran's book, the former foreign secretary revealed, planned to demilitarize Siachen, which was vetoed by the then NSA M.K. Narayanan. Shyam Saranji is also quoted stating that 640 square kilometers of Indian land was encroached upon between 2010 and 2013 by the PLA. Although in 2013 he denied this, saying that there is no official claim to it, but this is a claim that remains. General J.J. Singh, his claim, the then army chief, confirmed to CNN News18 that lack of UPA's political will led to India losing territory. Let's go across to our guest joining us this evening. Shehzad Poonawalla, national spokesperson of the BJP, and George Kurian, political analyst. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. 43,000 square kilometers has been ceded under the Congress, UPA regime, etc., erstwhile regime, is a claim made by the BJP. But does that take away the 1200 kilometer claim made by the Congress party, Shehzad Poonawalla? Have 1200 kilometers been ceded in the last 9 years under the Modi 1 and 2 governments?
Anand, usually I keep my first comments long, but I will give all my time to George Kurian because this should be a debate based on fact. You have come out with a figure of 1200 square kilometers. Some Congress people have said 2000 square kilometers, and therefore I ask and give my time to George Kurian. George Kurian, 3 days ago, when Rahul Ji, MP, was near the Pangongso lake, he said that some villagers had come to him and said grazing lands which were there formerly with them have been taken over by the Chinese. George, I just want to know the name of one village which has been taken over. Now don't shift the goalpost. I am asking you very specifically, along the banks of Pangongso, Rahul Gandhi, and it was shown on CNN News18, said that in villagers have told me that the grazing land has been taken away by Chinese. Please name one village where it has happened.
Anand, a very good evening to my co-panelist Shehzad here and to your audience. Anand, I would need 90 seconds of uninterrupted time to bring some facts on the table for your benefit of your audience. Rahul Gandhi from Ladakh in the Kargil area has said that, PM Modi's claim about not an inch of land has been taken away by the Chinese is not true. Let me bring some facts. We all understand that 19 rounds of talks with China has failed over the last 3.5 years, and status quo ante as in April 2020 not restored for over 3 years. So this is what the Congress party is demanding as of right now. It's also important to note that Indian forces can't patrol 26 out of 65 patrolling points in Depsang Plains near the strategic DBO airstrip and CNN Junction near Damchok. Chinese continue to block Indian soldiers at the Y junction called bottleneck inside our territory. Access to patrolling points 10, 11, 11A, 12, 13 blocked by the Chinese. When will the Indian territory brazenly occupied by the Chinese and vacated by the Chinese army pushback. So I would like to ask Shehzad, before getting back to the name of the village that you want me to disclose, I would request Shehzad to come out clear on this facts that in the last three and a half years.
Thank you, George. Thank you. Let me address that. Thank you, George. It's clear to the audiences, Anand, that he has not taken the name of the villages where Rahul Gandhi, MP, alleged that people had lost their grazing lands. Now, he has spoken about 26 patrolling points in a report which has come out. George, I will again give you all my time. I won't make my opening comment even now. Can you please tell me, George, that these 26 out of 56 patrolling points that have been lost, where has this report been officially seen by? Don't tell me that it has been published by a news agency. There can be many like NewsClick. I know you will quote some news agency. This news report, which has said that this report exists by some SP and it was presented at some conference. Can you please tell me if you have the official copy of this report on the basis of which you are saying this, point one? And point two, who has authored this report in your in the news-based story that you are talking about?
This is an official report which the Congress party has taken a press conference and come out with. So
no, official report of Congress. No, do you have the copy of the report? Do you have the copy of the report?
I have the news link.
Official report. Okay, now George, just 5 seconds more. You know that news report which has cited this particular report talks about the DGP level conference in which this SP level officer presented this so-called report. Do you think patrolling points are patrolled by police officers or by armed forces and paramilitary forces? If at all such a report has to be given, what does your common sense say who should be authoring this report? An SP level officer or a paramilitary or a military level officer? Let's now, so the second claim you made about the patrolling points, that also falls flat. The first claim made by Rahul Gandhi about villages, that also falls flat. Now let's come to the third point. Rahul Gandhi today said in Kargil, although he should not be talking about Kargil, he said that no communication of mobile phone exists in Kargil. Is that a fact, George Kurian? Because you can find many reports, including Reliance's telecommunication services are available there. Kargil's Kaksar border also has communication of cell phone network. So why did Rahul Gandhi say that there was no cell phone network in Kargil today? And Rahul Gandhi said that Ladakh is of strategic importance. No, George, I understand it might be painful for you to take all the body blows for Rahul Gandhi's statements, but let me also give you one more fact. Rahul Gandhi said Ladakh is of great strategic importance. We agree. Therefore, the people of Ladakh were demanding UT status, it wasn't given. The people of Ladakh got the first central university after 2019 when the 370 was abrogated. The people of Ladakh got roadways projects, power projects that was stuck for 50 years, 30 years, 40 years, only after 370 was abrogated. And Mr. George Kurian, let me ask you another thing. That somebody who comes from your state, A.K. Antony, said that the best policy was not to develop infrastructure along the LAC. Today you have the Galwan River Bridge, you have DSDBO upgraded to 70 class road, you have 33 bridges, 9 tunnels including Sela Tunnel, BRO has built 60,000 kilometers of roads, 693 bridges, habitat for 22,000 troops, 2,000 kilometers of highway along the McMahon line, 3 inter-corridor highways in Arunachal Pradesh. Can you tell me 5 infrastructure projects that the UPA government did in its 50-60 years?
Well, Shehzad, I believe that one has to move beyond the rhetoric and protect Bharat Mata, and it is important for I'm really proud that
what the part of what I said was rhetoric.
If the Modi government has done the development with respect to infrastructure, it is an appreciable thing. But having said that, that doesn't take away that.
No, it's Indian a fact. It's not a matter of opinion. It's a fact that it's been done. But why is Rahul Gandhi lying? Why does he lie that villages have been occupied when it's not? Because the village he was in, the JJM mission and the BRO is constructing roads there, the JJM mission has reached there. Why did he lie at the Pangong Tso Lake? Why does he lie about Kargil? Why do you lie about the patrolling points? And also apart from that,
after an interaction with the locals in the area, that he has come out with a statement. So,
which villages were they from? Which villages were they from? Should Rahul Gandhi disclose
across the Ladakh area and across Ladakh?
No, across the Ladakh area means what? I mean, you need to be specific. I mean, you're a member of parliament. making a claim about national security that the Chinese have intruded into land that belongs to India. So you should tell us which particular village. You should give us the village, the name of the village. Don't you think it's expected of Rahul Gandhi, who's an MP?
Well,
George, may I ask you another question if you don't mind, George? George, may I ask you another question?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
When was the time that India actually lost land to, the only time that we really lost land to China was when Aksai Chin happened in 1962. And do you know, just before that, in 1951, 52, 53, forget everything else, Nehruji, because you all like to invoke Nehru even on ISRO debates, Nehruji was busy giving rice supplies to China, which was taking over Tibet. Had they not taken over Tibet, today we would have had Tibet on our border, not China. We call it the Indo-Tibetan Police Force. By the way, in 1950, Pandit Nehru wrote to Vijay Lakshmi Pandit saying that, look, we are being offered the UNSC seat, but we shouldn't take it because China will be upset. And he confirmed that in another letter to the Chief Minister in 1955, saying that, look, China is too strong, China is too powerful, we don't need to offend China, we need to be friends with China. Don't you think that's a historic mistake? Because after that, the Congress Party entered into an MOU with the Chinese. The Congress Party took funds from the Chinese into Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. And at that time, they started surrendering our economic rights. Why were they trying to enter into RCEP, where our trade deficit increased by 33 times? Why did they give up places like...
yield, Shehzad. Let George Kurian speak. Let George Kurian respond.
Well, Shehzad, you went on about 1962 and so on and so forth. I would like to say, what is stopping the Modi government from, getting back the land that, once that we have ceded to China? What is stopping it? We are the number 3 in terms of economy. We are becoming superpower. We are getting developed. Our borders infrastructure is getting built up and things like that. So if the Indian army is capable, which I'm sure we all believe in, what is stopping the Modi government, which has the full majority in the government? And so what is stopping the Modi government from taking back the land which was given during 1962? What is stopping that? Even along with the status quo ante as of April 2020. Two wrongs don't make a right.
So first of all, you're acknowledging that the land... So first of all, you're acknowledging that the land was actually given up in 1962, not in 2022, not in 2023. Now you're asking us that why isn't the land given up in 1962 being brought back yet, despite it being a majority government? By the way, you would remember Rajiv Gandhi also had a majority government. But I'm glad you acknowledge that the only person you as a congressman think is capable of getting back that land or even having claim and ensuring that claim on that land is established is Narendra Modi. So I'm grateful that you have that confidence in Narendra Modi, but I want to ask you, why doesn't Rahul Gandhi have confidence in the armed forces when the armed forces says not a single inch of land has been given? Why is it that Mr. Rahul Gandhi continues to undermine the armed forces? Is it because of the contract and the MOU you have with the Chinese, where you say that Galwan mein kuch nahi kiya Bharat ki Sena ne, where you question surgical strike, you question Balakot air strike, you try to undermine the armed forces, you say Sena ki pitai ho gayi
not really.
Arunachal Pradesh mein. Is that the ploy?
Well, not really, Shehzad. Rahul Gandhi is not questioning the intent and the and the capability of the Indian army. We believe that Indian army is strong enough and capable to.
But you just said that we've lost 1,200 square kilometers.
Well, that is the current situation at this point in time. So because of the Modi government is not showing interest
so did the army fail?
Taking back our lost post.
But did the army fail?
It is the direction from the government that has to be, shown.
So was the directions not given by Nehruji to safeguard Aksai Chin?
Well,
to safeguard Tia Pangnak, Doomcheli, Zorawat?
There are lot of questions to which there have been no answers. So let me put one more question to which I hope I'll get an answer. One question to George Kurian and then one question to Shehzad Poonawalla. George Kurian, who cares about Ladakh? Not a blade of grass grows there. Ladakh is of strategic importance. Which of these two statements is true?
Well, we know that Ladakh is a strategic importance as far as the border is concerned. So, and we all believe that's a fact.
So that's a fact. So one statement was made by Rahul Gandhi, the other statement was made by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So you're saying that the statement made by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru is wrong?
Well, Anand, one has to come up with time. Things have changed, and I strongly
So-
believe that the way the perception and the way we look at the future course of action
Correct.
needs to be taken is also
So,
important.
so if that future course of action, sir, why was that future course of action not taken in the 90s? Why was it not taken in the 1970s? Why was it not taken between 2004 and 2014, where it said it's better we don't develop the roads at all, border roads? We started only when we realized, oh my God, what a mistake we made. The other question, now, going back to Shehzad Poonawalla. Shehzad Poonawalla, why is it that since April 2020 to now August 2023, the full process of disengagement has not happened? And by the time that in Demchok and Depsang that the PLA continues to sit on those peaks and doesn't disengage, it has actually increased its abilities in Hotan. It's built a fresh airbase where it can now even land its J-16s in the last 2.5 to 3 years, along with its Predator, along with its drones which have got attack capability or equivalent to the Predators that the Americans have. They have made drone landing sites in those areas and within striking distance of our bases, within striking distance of Kargil, which they did not have. They had to fly 2,500 kilometers to even get any air support, but they have now built air bases in the last 3 years that they have sat in Demchok and Depsang. How are we going to counter this?
Anand, you would bear me out. Anand, you would bear me out on the fact that I just read out a list of things that we have done across the LAC. And of course, I am sure that there are many more things that you would not want me to disclose, especially about our strategic and other interests that we are developing, because I think these are matters that the less said about, the better. But you would be rest assured from various generals and various experts who join you on your panel that India is not sitting back. India is sending all its firepower, all its manpower that it can at the LAC to ensure that not an inch of land is conceded. Point number one. Point number two, these issues of disengagement, etc. Anand, you know that there is no international border between India and China. There is no LOC between India and China. It's actually an LAC, the land of actual control, which means there are differing perceptions. And based on those perceptions, people think that they have intruded or not intruded in certain parts. They also think that we have done that in some parts. We think that they are probably attempting to do that in some parts. And therefore, this process of talking and dialogue to ensure that there is a disengagement from established positions is a continuous process. So I don't think anything should be seen from it. But you should acknowledge the fact that for the first time, we also went on top of the Kailash Hills. We must acknowledge the fact that in Doklam, for the first time, it was the Indian army that challenged the Chinese in Doklam, which is a tri-junction area. But at that time, it was Rahul Gandhi who was seen with the Chinese ambassador. And therefore, the question today is that what we do as a country is one aspect. But when members of our own country are busy taking the Chinese line and Chinese propaganda, shouldn't they be called out, especially when they have no facts to back their claims? Where is the village
you
that
can
Rahul
call
Gandhi
out, I can
talking
only,
about?
I have to wind up, gentlemen.
Seems to have no answer.
It's engaging debate, I have to wind up. There was something in Demchok, sir, which still the PLA, where you're claiming that they're sitting on claim plates. Demchok has been on their radar for a long, long time. Please go back, viewers, and also to our guests on the panel tonight. There is a Zorawar fort in Demchok. When was it broken down and did the PLA build bunkers? And soon after that, who entered into an engagement of mutual collaboration with the CCP? Please look at the years and then tell me, sir, who's working in the interest or against the interest of Bharat Mata. I wind up the debate on that note. Thank you very, very much, Shehzad Poonawalla and George Kurian. Ladies and gentlemen, moving forward, and this is a story that we must tell and we must also celebrate. Bharat has seen a massive metro rail revolution. Bharat will soon be the home to the second largest metro system in the world, ready to outpace Japan, Korea and the United States. Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri had recently said that there is 870 kilometers of operational metro and 1040 kilometers and operational metro and 1040 kilometers of more will be added in the coming times, thus signaling the country's leap in this entire sector. Now, as per the 2011 census, approximately 32% of India's population lived in urban areas. And by 2050, the share of Indian population living in urban areas is set to go up over 50%. In Delhi, metros have fundamentally transformed day-to-day travel for millions of commuters. About 51 lakh people use the Delhi metro every day, as it offers citizens a chance to commute in a reliable, affordable and comfortable manner. It also reduces the travel time, pollution and road congestion. Now let us decode this entire gati of growth. In 2014, only 5 Indian cities had metro rails. Today, that number has gone up to 20. Similarly, in 2014, India had only 248 kilometers of metro network, which has gone to 870 kilometers in 9 years. Before 2014, the monthly average of metro lines being started was 0.68 kilometers. 2023, it's 5.6 kilometers per month. The tremendous task of establishing metro networks needs to be noted. A lot of capital investment is also involved, and construction also tends to disrupt urban life. The government has made sure that there is no shortage of funds for building the required rail networks. Here's how the central government is powering city lines. Approximately 462 kilometers of metro rail is currently under construction. 372 kilometer long routes have been approved. India's cumulative metro rail network will eventually be 2,750 kilometers. In the previous fiscal 22-23, the centre allocated about 20,385 crore rupees for 17 metro rail and regional rapid transit systems across the country. In this year's budget, the government has allocated 19,518 crore for metro rail network. So, metro services are already available in cities like the Delhi NCR, Bengaluru, Hyderabad. Have a look at this. Delhi NCR, Bengaluru. They are available in Hyderabad. They are available in Chennai, in Ahmedabad, over in Jaipur, in Kochi, in Kanpur, in Kolkata and Lucknow, Mumbai, Nagpur and Pune. The metro rail policy of 2017 provided a blueprint for fostering metro expansion across the nation, and under this framework, the union government has extended financial assistance based on project feasibility and resource availability. Metro services will soon now be available in Agra. They'll be available in Bhopal. They'll be available in Indore, again in MP, in Meerut, in Uttar Pradesh, Navi Mumbai, Maharashtra, Patna, Bihar, and of course Surat in Gujarat. So this is the big story of the metro rail and rapid transit system, which is now going to connect all of Bharat. One more thing, ladies and gentlemen. A group of people, section of our country, who we need to celebrate because of the stories that they are bringing to the fore. The rise of India is also being championed by India's middle class that's emerged as the engine of our nation's growth. In the past decade, there have been instances of ordinary Indians earning recognition in almost every field, nationally and internationally. Another sign of India's middle class, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself serves as an example that if one perseveres and is meritorious, sky is the limit in New India. Chai wala bhi Pradhan Mantri ban sakta hai. The future of India's middle class looking very promising. Have a look at some of the numbers. In 2021, the Indian middle class constituted just about 31% of the population. But the size of India's middle class will nearly double to 61% by 2047. The average income of the middle class has grown from 4.4 lakhs in financial year 2012-2013 to rupees 13 lakh in 2022 as per the SBI report. Compared to financial year 2011, 13.6% of the population had left lower income strata and migrated upwards by 2022, financial year 2022. Share of people who have no liability to pay income tax, that is due to low income, has gone down from 84.10% in FY11, financial year 2011, to 64% in financial year 22. So look at the number of people who have now come back into the income groups. But then these are just numbers. The real sign of rising middle class is evident in every nook and corner of our growth story. They are both employees and employers. The middle class's impact transcends sectors and even borders. People who grew up in middle class families are today heading some of the biggest companies in the world or are setting records in the field of sports entertainment. Let's sample a few and show you how India is riding along with them. Chandrayaan team. Architects who made this mission possible, men and women who have had very, very ordinary upbringings, studied in small town schools and colleges, who face the same travails that every Indian faces, yet through their sheer determination and to excel, They have made the entire nation proud. All of them. Sridhar Vembu, founder and CEO of Zoho Corporation. Net worth is $3.75 billion in 2021. Nitin Kamath, CEO of Zerodha. Net worth is $315 million. Again, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google. Net worth $1,310 million. Of course, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, net worth $305 million. Shantanu Narayan, CEO of Adobe Systems, net worth $320 million. Pankaj Tripathi, National Award for Best Supporting Actor in the film Mimi. Last film, OMG 2, earned 123 crore in 2 weeks. Again, middle class marvel. Manoj Bajpayee, conferred with the Padma Shri, won 2 national awards, most critically acclaimed actor. Pragnananda, first Indian after Vishy Anand to enter the World Cup final at the age of 10. He became the youngest master. At age of 12, he became the second youngest grandmaster, and he's the youngest ever to make it to the candidates round. Swapna Barman, Arjuna Award for Athletics, won gold medal at the 2018 Asian Games. Tejinder Pal Singh Toor, Arjuna Award in Athletics, holds a national and Asian record in shot put. There are so many such stories of the middle class rising. We are not even talking about Yashasvi Jaiswal and Rinku Singh, ladies and gentlemen. There are so many stories. Celebrate the middle class because they are powering our growth. We're going to take a very, very short break. When we come back, another story of middle class who are marveling. The national award winning cast and the director maker from Rocketry, and of course the makers of the Kashmir Files. Again, middle class stories who are taking the story of India, picking up stories that were forgotten and putting it right there in front of everyone to know, understand what it means to be Bharatiya. Stay with us.
LIC
post April 2020, the clashes which happened in Pangong, so after which there were 7 areas which had to be resolved. 5 areas that has been resolved, but there are 2 areas in Demchok and Debsang which is still not being resolved, and the reason why is that we as the Indians, and as I understand from the from local sources or from troops on ground, is that they are, and I'm saying this because one has done that on ground.
Yes.
That we don't give away, okay, please come inside and now we'll go back. That is not the way Indian army functions. Otherwise, there is no point in the Indian army being there. The fact that 3 years on, we've continued the talks after talks means that we are, wanting to get to a negotiation with a result in our favor, in a manner in which is in bias towards our claims.
No,
not
but
to bias
Colonel
towards
Diri, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. I just want to bring in the point that member of the Congress party was making here, that why is the conversation only being initiated by India? At least that is what the claim has been made. It's attributed to what the Chinese are saying, something that's been denied by the Indian side. But this conversation after conversation, these core commander level talks that have been happening, very, very rampant so, and the fact that on the sidelines of Brics summit, the 2 leaders from India and China also really engaged. However, these 2 crucial points of de-escalation that's required, especially in Debsang and Demchok, that was completely, done away with, that there was no conversation about the same. Why so? And how are we supposed to move forward if that is not being discussed?
See, ma'am, what we must understand is that the requirement for dialogue is not one-sided.
Yes.
It can never be one-sided.
Yes.
It has to be both sides. And I'll give you a technical point of view also. See, the moment we ask for a meeting, it is held in our side of Trishul, the BPM hut which is there, the border postal meeting hut. That is where. When they ask for it, it is held on their side. Now, if you just take out the records, how many times it has been held there and how many times it has been held here, it will be very convenient, and the facts are on ground that it has been both sides. Both sides talk, and that is the mechanism. It's not happening now. It has been throughout from 90s, early 90s. That is the way it is, that whenever there is an issue, both sides reach out and they speak to each other at various level, at brigade commanders level, major general level, and now at the corps commander level. Okay. 19 rounds of corps commander level, what it has given is that there has been no violence after the June 2020 violence which happened in Galwan. Isn't that a small thing? I mean, two large armies are eyeball to eyeball, and the fact that the corps commander level generals are speaking to each other means that there is some amount of, there is a semblance of peace and tranquility. I'm not saying that there is complete thing, but at least there is a sense that the commanders are speaking, so there is an understanding
But
that
I
there is a
still
line
want to
between.
get the terminology right over here and the kind of statements that have come out time and time now. Sushant, I'd want to bring you in here. I wanted to understand that there was one statement that was released by the Chinese side. There was another supplementary statement that came in by way of the Chinese Foreign Ministry, where they claim about the historical legacy of the line of actual control and how their position has been really consistent for so many years. Why this change of stance? Why this beating around the bush? How does one read it?
I don't think it's beating about the bush. The statement that this is a historical, it's a legacy of history, is it's a pretty standard formulation of the Chinese. It's been there in statement after statement. The other statement which they are saying, and over which I think a lot of people are getting their knickers in a twist, is that India asked for the meeting. So what if India asked for the meeting? The government of India has denied it. But my point is that even if India asked for a meeting, why not?
Considering this is an escalation of attack by Rahul Gandhi in the name of his Ladakh visit, he's constantly raising these allegations against the government at the center of the ceding of land by China, and they've come far into the Indian territory. On what basis are these claims being made, Sujata?
You heard what Rahul Gandhi said. He said that he is speaking to the people of Ladakh, and this is what they are saying, and this is absolutely true. Because if you look at the context in which this is being said, it is the Prime Minister's statement that na koi ghusa hai, na koi ghusa hua hai, na hamara post kisi ke kabze mein hai. And if you remember, when he said that, the next day, the then Defence Minister Rajnath Singh gave a statement and mentioned how clashes had happened in the Galwan Valley. However, I'd like to draw your attention to the Nyoma Block Development Council chairperson. Her name is Urgen Chodon, and she has been saying that the Chinese have been crossing across to our land and taking control of our land since.
R. Madhavan, congratulations. Fantastic moment. Chandrayaan on the moon, Vikas engine part of it, and rocketry gets the national award.
Yeah, we are over the moon in all sense of the word.
Why? Please.
I looked at the Chandrayaan mission and I was literally gleeful. I was so happy for the achievement. It is no meager achievement. Those who understand science and the importance of space travel in the near future know what a spectacular achievement this is and what it means to the common man as well. And I celebrated. And then the news came yesterday of the national award, and I figured I might have celebrated a little too much because I didn't have anything left to give. This is a very sobering moment for me. But the only euphoria that the entire team felt is when we called Nambi Narayan sir on the phone and gave him the news, and there was family was celebrating. They were all coming and telling him the news at the same time. It was very, very rewarding for us to see that household with that much of glee, mirth and happiness, and that has been our biggest reward.
You know, I spoke with him ahead of the Chandrayaan launch itself, and he was saying there is so much more that we can do beyond the Vikas engine, and he was already looking ahead to the next steps. But, you know, in terms of an achievement, shouldn't we all feel proud that inside of 650 crores, we have actually landed a vehicle, a lunar module on the moon? You know, doesn't this talk about what we as a nation can achieve? Do you think, Maddy, people have been able to understand, grasp the weight of this achievement?
No, I'm afraid they have not. Let me try and put it in perspective. Russia and China have done the same mission and almost failed. Nobody's actually landed on the South Pole like India has done with such grace. And the cost of their missions were upwards of 1,600 crores. We've managed to do it in less than 650 crores. You know, the fallout of technology, let us say not the fallout, but the technology associated with such a project and mission is so very useful because it's now been verified, it's been proved to be successful, and that can be indigenously made and implemented throughout the nation for the common consumer. You know, it's a great leap forward for medical science, for
for technologies to help the common man. And when that percolates, you will realize, for example, GPS, we don't might not have to depend on Google anymore. We will have visuals that are so clear about our own very streets and gullies that is possible right now because of missions like this. And imagine that if you are getting an iPhone, let's say any phone for 1,000 rupees, and India is able to give you the same phone at 350 rupees. Do you see the advantage in that? That's exactly the strange but very wide correlation between the success of the price that ISRO has managed to achieve this mission in compared to what the other countries have spent.
One more is a big thumbs up to the middle class, because a lot of time nobody speaks about it. Most of the scientists are from middle class, humble backgrounds. You see the contribution of the middle class towards India's growth story. That's another part which not too many people talk about.
I think the Indian middle class is the most powerful in the world. The whole world is trying to woo them, from the OTT channels to the products and to consumers. All of them, we are the most powerful. We not only are consuming them, we also have very clear opinions and very clear patterns which we follow, and it's a great study. What a film like rocketry does, or a mission like like a Mangalyaan does, is that it evokes interest among the youngsters in the middle class to clearly be part of a movement like this, and make space technology or research or ISRO as important as an establishment as IIT or IIM for them to be part of, and that is what I'm keenly looking forward to, because I can promise you, Anand, that in the very near future, much faster than we envisage, space is going to become a reality, and the dominance over space and the technology that is going to be involved for a direct correlation to the to men living on Earth, and I'm saying this is an achievement for the whole world, not just India, and the direct correlation of the technologies that this is going to have, and the impact on the common man is going to be really spectacular, and to be the first one, the forerunners in that, it's going to be extraordinary.
Ooh, I know there was no race to make rocketry, but there's going to be a race to make the story of Chandrayaan. So I need to ask, is Madhavan, the filmmaker, the writer, in that race too? Or do you have a better story closer home with your son doing what he's doing in the pool?
Thank you very much. We're under a long way to go. We're all keeping our fingers crossed. No, there is no race for me. This rocketry as a film was thrust upon me as a director. I wrote it. I wanted to produce it, and I acted in it, but I didn't want to direct it. I didn't have the ability at that point in time, is what I thought. But now that it's done and it's got the highest award, I'm even more frightened that I might be called off and called out as a bad director if I do something which I don't have my heart in. So I'm going to wait for that calling. I don't know if it's going to be Chandrayaan or any other thing, but I know that when I get the calling, I will put my heart and soul into it. This is a great, this is not just a great award and recognition, but it's a huge responsibility, Anand. And one wants to, one wants to make sure that one lives up to the expectations of such a respect and honor that's been bestowed.
My final question, which side of the political spectrum you are, the celebration has been colored with that. Do you feel that's unfortunate? People had an issue with Prime Minister being there when Chandrayaan touched down on the screen. Many would have perhaps even called you out for congratulating PM Modi and ISRO together, saying give the credit only to ISRO, don't give it to the PM or to the current government. Where do you stand when all this happens? I know you steer clear of politics, but I just thought I should ask you this.
I'm in love with India, and I'm also in love with the fact that India is doing great right now. And I have the deepest and utmost respect for my Prime Minister. And I can tell you this, that the Prime Minister of India today will, with me, clap for the next Prime Minister, whoever is doing good for India. It's the post and the position that we are applauding. It is not politically aligned. It's a big crime not to acknowledge good work and pat on the back and acknowledge the progress that the country is making, because that's almost being unfair with the country. So for the few misguided people who have opinions that, like everybody does over the world, you cannot do anything right. There is not, you'll see a small child smile and they will find a reason why the child should not smile. So we have to make allowances for these poor souls and keep moving ahead. But that does not mean that we do not actually look inside and give credit where there is due. And for goodness sake, you have to give credit. It has happened. What are you going to do? This happened during this government's time. You know, the government has already supported it. The Prime Minister has been a big fan. He has been there for the equally there for the failure of Chandrayaan 2 as much as he's been there for the success of Chandrayaan 3. You never said he should not have gone there then. I'm just saying, guys, look deep inside. This is a country that's making progress. There are many external elements that are not happy with the kind of progress that we do, and the best way to break a country is, and I honestly believe this, is to give the younger generation fast food that really screws with their stomach and their mind, which I know has not worked for many Western countries. And the other thing is to feed the seed of dissent for everything possible. Look, everybody who's making a mockery of this, you just look around and say, this is the place where your children are going to grow up. This is the country that the entire world is standing up and applauding. What are you doing in praising the people involved with it? It's just to say that, oh, only praise ISRO, do not praise the Prime Minister. Who is? Everybody is just saying Chandrayaan did a great job. And again, coming back, when it failed, he was there to take responsibility. Why don't you all acknowledge that? And I'm not going to be dissuaded by people in projecting and applauding what is right by my country. If that is going to be painted in whichever color they feel is convenient to them, I cannot be dissuaded by that. He is my Prime Minister. This is the government that is ruling, and they are doing a great job so far. And if there is something wrong that they're doing, I'm telling you, the government will have to take responsibility. They will. And I know the bunch of people that I've met that tomorrow, God forbid, if they are not in the government also, they will be applauding with any gentleman or lady who becomes a Prime Minister and is doing right for the country. I'm speaking for them. I can say it. Everybody is nationalistic, and it is important to do that. And if you don't know what that means, go to Japan or at least read what they do. And we are a great country. We have wonderful, talented people who need to be nourished and protected, including the ISRO scientists. Okay, so unless you give them this acknowledgement, unless there is somebody out there you can reach out to say, hey sir, you said this, now can we do something about protecting them? How are you going to protect them and treat them as national assets? I'm sorry I was a little, long with my answer, but I truly believe this. And I'm telling you, I don't think that anybody should have any problem with what I just said, simply because I really am only talking about my India.
दिल से बोला, सही बोला, Varga Nanba, Varga. Fantastic. May your tribe grow. May your tribe grow. Lovely speaking with you, buddy. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for making the time amidst what's your personal time for speaking with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anand, for your kind hearing, and very sweet of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Anand. Bye-bye, man. Bye.
First up, congratulations, Vivek Agnihotri and Pallavi Joshi. Fantastic. How's the feeling? It's early morning in the whichever part of the world you are in right now. लग रहा है आपकी coffee भी दिख रही मुझे. But tell me, how are you feeling?
Great, top of the world. Yesterday, we woke up to this news at 6 in the morning. So I thought, what a great way to start your day, So, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. And the fact that the film won the Best Film Award for National Integration, that really means so much to us, because that is exactly the messaging of the film. And to know that that has been recognized by the jury, by your peers, by your contemporaries, it's a great feeling.
Vivek ji, pardon me if I'm a little biased towards Pallavi ji today, क्योंकि आपसे तो मैं रूबरू हुआ था हाल ही में. She is very difficult to speak to. तो मेरा अगला सवाल भी आप ही के ऊपर है, आप ही से है पल्लवी जी, कि सिस्टम की वजह से अवार्ड मिला कि सिस्टम के बावजूद अवार्ड मिला?
सिस्टम काम में आ गया, शायद उसीलिए अवार्ड मिला.
क्योंकि इसके बारे में विवेक जी आपको पता है, काफी कुछ कहा जा रहा है. बहुत लोगों ने बहुत कुछ कहा कि सेक्युलर फैब्रिक के खिलाफ है. अवार्ड नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन का है, लेकिन ये डिविसिव अवार्ड है. क्या कहेंगे? व्हाट वुड यू लाइक टू से?
ये अवार्ड और फिल्म वो सारी उस इशू से बहुत छोटी हैं जिस मुद्दे पे फिल्म बनी है. बात जेनोसाइड के ऊपर फिल्म बनी है. अगर आप ये समझिए होलोकॉस्ट के ऊपर फिल्म बनाते हैं, तो आप पहले ये डिसाइड कर लीजिए कि आपके दिमाग में जेनोसाइड हुआ था कि नहीं हुआ था. पहले तो आप ये डिसाइड कर लीजिए. अगर वो हुआ था, उसके बाद फिर बात चालू होती है सारी. लेकिन अगर आप शुरू ही आप कहते नहीं साहब जेनोसाइड जेनोसाइड हुआ नहीं था, ये झूठ है ये फिल्म, तो फिर उनकी बात सुनने का कोई फायदा नहीं है. इट्स लाइक यू आर लिसनिंग टू अ मर्डरर और अ रेपिस्ट, यू नो. सो लिसनिंग टू अ टेररिस्ट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, उसका कोई मीनिंग ही नहीं है. तो इसलिए मैं उनको ध्यान नहीं देता हूं. लेकिन अगर कोई आदमी बोलता हाँ साहब जेनोसाइड हुआ था, बहुत बुरा हुआ था, लेकिन आपकी फिल्म में ये सीन जो था वो ऐसा हो सकता था, या ये आपने गलत दिखाया, मैं उसकी रिस्पेक्ट करने के लिए तैयार हूं. आई एम लिसनिंग टू देयर फीडबैक, नॉट टू मिस्टर उमर अब्दुल्ला, जिनकी पूरी फैमिली ने कश्मीर को तबाह करके रख दिया. एंड आई एम सेइंग इट विद फुल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड फुल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द इशू एंड विद ऑल सेंसिटिविटी. मैं कोई, मेरा मकसद कहीं आग लगाना है, किसी को डिमीन करना है या बेइज्जत करना नहीं है. शेख अब्दुल्ला, फारूक अब्दुल्ला, उमर अब्दुल्ला, ये तीन वो पिलर्स हैं या वो AK-47 हैं जिन्होंने कश्मीर को तबाह करने में कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी, जिसके लिए इनने दिल्ली में बैठे हुए जितने भी लीडर्स थे उनके साथ साठगांठ करके, स्पेशली पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू के साथ, कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी. इनका मकसद सिर्फ इस्लामिक रिपब्लिक ऑफ पाकिस्तान या इस्लामिक रिपब्लिक ऑफ कश्मीर बनाना था और कुछ भी नहीं था. 19 जनवरी को जो कुछ भी हुआ, आनंद, आपको पता है नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस के हेडक्वार्टर में सारे आतंकी लोग रुके थे, यहां तक कि इंदिरा गांधी वहां जाने वाली थी तो इनके लोगों ने उसको अपोज किया था. इंदिरा गांधी की मीटिंग, ट्रिप टू कश्मीर वाज कैंसिल्ड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट. गांधी जी की स्टैचू जो वहां के हाई कोर्ट में लगाई गई थी, इट वाज मिस्टर फारूक अब्दुल्ला's फेवरेट MLAs हु अपोज्ड इट, और गांधी जी की वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट को ऑर्डर देना पड़ा कि उस स्टैचू को ना लगाया जाए. गांधी जी सेकुलर के प्रतिबिंब, सेकुलरिज्म के जो मैनिफेस्टो हैं, उनकी प्रतिमा वहां से हटवाई गई बिकॉज ऑफ फारूक अब्दुल्ला's पार्टीज. लोग ये कैसे भूल सकते हैं इन बातों को. ये 2 दिन पहले छोड़ के भाग गए फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब लंदन. इनको क्या डिस्को CM के नाम से बताया जाता था, बड़ी बड़ी हेडलाइंस में लिखा जाता था कि ये तो आग लग रही है कश्मीर में और ये बॉलीवुड की हीरोइंस को मोटरसाइकिल में घुमाने में मशगूल है. ये वो फैमिली जो हैं, उनको तो कोई हक नहीं है सेकुलरिज्म की. पहले उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब ये बताएं कि जेनोसाइड हुआ था कि नहीं, फिर उनसे बातचीत की जा सकती है.
You're saying you have done so much of research, you've heard so many testimonies, you're so emotionally invested in all of this. So I'm still asking you, you'd rather focus, Pallaviji, on the critics, the brickbats, the politics of it, or the emotion that is now the outpouring? That's the majority, isn't it, on social media across the world? Wherever you are people now recognizing you as part of the Kashmir files, those who brought the Kashmir story? Will you take those good wishes or the brickbats? What would you think?
I've always only concentrated on the good wishes, Anand. And coming so far in life is not possible if you only concentrate on the negative. जितनी भी brickbats मिली थी, जो भी negativity spread हो रही थी फिल्म के इर्द-गिर्द, I did not focus on that. I turned a blind eye to it, and that is the only way in which we could move forward to our next project. Now we are here promoting the vaccine war. Very soon we'll start the Delhi files. So if we just keep concentrating on what the naysayers are saying, or the genocide deniers are trying to pull us back, we'll never be able to move ahead in life and do better work and bring more stories of India in front of people.
मैं पल्लवी का एडवांटेज आनंद ये है कि वो सोशल मीडिया में कहीं भी है ही नहीं, इसको कुछ पता भी नहीं चलता क्या हो रहा है और मैं भी बताता नहीं हूँ. So she's always in a happy space, but only one thing I want to
जब जश्न का माहौल होता है, उत्सव का माहौल होता है, तो मन करता है कि जल्दी से जल्दी अपने परिवार के लोगों के बीच पहुंच जाए. मैं भी अपने परिवारजनों के बीच आ गया हूं. सावन का महीना है, एक प्रकार से शिव जी का महीना है, और इस पवित्र महीने में देश ने फिर एक नई उपलब्धि हासिल की है. भारत चंद्रमा के डार्क जोन में, साउथ पोल में लैंड करने वाला दुनिया का पहला देश बन गया है. भारत ने चंद्रमा पर तिरंगा लहराकर पूरे विश्व को भारत के सामर्थ्य का परिचय कराया है। दुनिया भर से बधाई संदेश आ रहे हैं। लोग अपनी शुभकामनाएं भेज रहे हैं और मुझे पक्का विश्वास है लोग आपको भी बधाई देते होंगे। देते हैं ना? ढेर सारी बधाई आपको भी मिल रही है ना? हर हिंदुस्तानी को मिल रही है। पूरा सोशल मीडिया बधाई संदेशों से भरा हुआ है। जब सफलता इतनी बड़ी हो तो सफलता, उसका उत्साह ये भी लगातार